Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're jumping into something that's way more than just a textbook. We're looking at a playbook, really, a modern guide for understanding and actually shaping our future with artificial intelligence. So let's get into what it means to be literate in the 21st century.
And honestly, you couldn't ask for a better starting point. For so long, AI was just something we saw in the movies, right? But it's not science fiction anymore. It is here. It's in our phones, it's changing medicine, it's everywhere. And because of that, understanding it has become absolutely essential. So that brings us to the big question, doesn't it? This massive change is happening all around us, and AI is in the driver's seat. So what do? How do we get the skills to be more than just spectators, to actually get in the game and help build what comes next? Well, this curriculum claims to be the playbook for exactly that. The first huge idea to wrap your head around is this: AI is the new literacy. You know, just like we all learn to read and write to get by, understanding the basics of AI is becoming just as fundamental. And no, this isn't just for coders and engineers anymore, this is for everyone.
Okay, so let's break it down. What even is AI? At its heart, it's pretty straightforward. It's a field of science that uses two things: powerful computers and huge amounts of data. And when you combine them, you can do some amazing things, like solve really complex problems and make incredibly smart predictions. So if you wanted to build one of these intelligent systems, where would you even start? Well, you'd need a toolkit. And in that toolkit, there are two absolutely essential ingredients. You need a language to write the instructions, and you need raw material for the system to learn from. In other words, you need code and you need data. The language that has pretty much taken over the world of AI is Python. A good way to think of it is like the alphabet of AI. It's relatively easy to learn, but its real superpower comes from its libraries. These are like pre-built tool sets of code that handle the really complicated stuff, letting creators focus on the big picture. And that brings us to the other half of the toolkit. You've probably heard this saying before, and for good reason. If Python is the language, then data is the fuel. It's the valuable raw resource that powers every single AI system. You can have the most brilliant code in the world, but without data, it's just sitting there, completely useless. Now, not all data is the same. On one hand, you've got structured data. Think of a nice, neat spreadsheet. It's organized in rows and columns, super easy for a computer to understand. But then you've got the wild stuff, unstructured data. We're talking about all the images, text messages, and social media posts we create every second. And get this, that messy, unstructured stuff makes up over 80% of all the data in the world. And that is where AI becomes a total game changer, because it gives us the tools to finally make sense of all that chaos. So, we've got our toolkit, code, and data, but how do you actually put them together to create something that feels intelligent? Well, that's where the engine comes in. The engine that drives almost all of modern AI is called machine learning. And it's all about how we teach computers to learn for themselves. And here is the magic trick, the key difference. With old school programming, a human has to write out every single step, every single rule. But with machine learning, you don't do that. Instead, you just show the computer a ton of data, and you let it figure out the patterns and the rules on its own. It literally learns from experience, kind of like we do. So how does a machine actually learn? Well, it mainly happens in one of three ways. First, there's supervised learning. That's like giving the machine digital flashcards with the answers on the back. Then there's unsupervised learning, where you just dump a bunch of messy data on it and say, find the patterns here. Kind of like sorting a giant pile of laundry. And finally, there's reinforcement learning, which is all about trial and error. The machine gets rewards for good moves and penalties for bad ones, just like when you're training a dog. Okay, so we've gone through a lot of the theory, right? We have the toolkit and the engine. But all this knowledge doesn't mean much if you can't do anything with it. So, how do we bridge that gap? How do you go from just learning this stuff to actually launching something that has a real-world impact? The answer in this curriculum is the Capstone Project. This is the big moment. It's where everything, the Python, the data, the machine learning, all comes together. Students have to find a genuine problem out there in the world and then build a working AI solution to help solve it. It's where theory stops and reality begins. And let me tell you, skills like these are in ridiculously high demand.
we're not just talking about tech companies. We're talking about building self-driving cars, helping doctors find diseases in medical scans, or stopping fraud for banks. AI expertise is blowing the doors open to new careers in pretty much every industry you can think of. But here's the thing. Building powerful AI, it isn't just a technical problem. It's a moral one, too. And that brings us to maybe the most important part of this whole playbook, the conscience of the machine. It's not enough to ask, can we build this? We have to start asking, should we build this? And how do we build it the right way? Now take a look at this. This is a real-world example, and it gets right to the heart of AI ethics. An AI was designed to predict patient needs, but it ended up recommending a lower standard of care for Black patients. Why? Not because someone programmed it to be racist. It's because it learned from historical data that reflected existing biases in the healthcare system. So the question is huge. Whose problem is that to fix? The engineers? The hospital? All of us? These are the tough questions we have to face. So to help navigate these tricky waters, the curriculum offers a kind of moral compass, 5 pillars of AI ethics. We have to ask, can we actually understand why the AI made a certain decision? Is it fair to everybody? Will it break under unexpected circumstances? Is it open about how it works? And crucially, does it protect our privacy? These aren't just nice ideas. They are absolutely essential if we're going to build AI that people can actually trust. Which leaves us with this final, massive thought to chew on. Right now, we are building systems that learn and make decisions on their own. So the ultimate challenge isn't just about Python and datasets. It's about our values. Because as we teach these machines how to think, we're being forced to take a hard look in the mirror and decide what's most important to us. And whatever we decide, well, that's the future we're building.